You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, guys, the transgender madness in sports won't stop. You have states out there that just refuse to comply with Title IX and President Trump's executive order. Males should not be in female sports. I mean, this has been a wild year, guys. We made so many videos in the past few weeks here. This kind of reminds me, dating back to 2022, when the transgender thing kind of really hit the scene of males invading women's sports. It's gotten out of hand, man. California looks like they're about to be in some trouble. We already know what's going on in Maine, Oregon as well. Now, the neighboring state of Oregon is what? Washington State, folks. And believe it or not, man, we got an interesting story right here. Because usually, folks, these school boards are pretty woke. However, we actually have a school board in Washington State that's demanding Trump force the state to actually comply with Title IX, comply with the law. This has to be shocking, folks. I mean, I was kind of caught off guard when I actually saw this, guys. So I can't believe this. And I'm pretty sure that the Trump administration, man, because they're going after these woke school districts and universities. I mean, his administration is definitely paying attention to what's going on. So maybe, just maybe, they are informed about what's going on in Washington State. And of course, Washington, a super duper blue state, a bunch of Trump deranged people, I'm pretty sure, that are actually in government, and they're not going to comply because really, guys, to people that are leftists, anything that Trump does is bad to them. So therefore, they must do the opposite. This is called peak Trump derangement. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Right over here, guys. School board pleads with Trump to force state to comply with trans ban. A school board in Washington State is seeking help from the federal government to force the state to ban transgender athletes from girls' sports. In a filing to the U.S. Department of Education's Civil Rights Division, and we know that the Civil Rights Division is going after these states, the Kennewick School Board filed a Title IX complaint against Washington State's Superintendent of Public Instruction, Chris Reichel. The school board asked the federal government for urgent relief against the state's efforts to defy President Trump's executive order, keeping men out of women's sports. Quote, "We respectfully request urgent federal intervention due to open and egregious Title IX violations currently occurring within the state's student athletics, as well as a requisite school district policies mandated by the state, which are in direct violation of Title IX," the school board wrote. "We are particularly concerned the openly discriminatory policies and mandates by the state of Washington State, Superintendent Reichel, OSPI, and WIAA not only directly harm our young women, but also jeopardize our district's essential federal funding, the loss of which would most severely impact our most impoverished and at-risk populations." Yeah, because if they are found, Washington State, to be in violation of Title IX and executive order, the federal funding is going to dry up. They're going to be in big trouble, folks. And I believe Maine is going to be the biggest example, because they're actually going the furthest to defy President Trump. So we're going to keep an eye out on Maine. Anyway, it goes on. It says the source of the tension stems from the Trump administration's directive to ban trans athletes from women's sports or lose federal funding, and Washington State's determination to continue to permit males to play female sports. Quote, "This state-imposed restriction erodes the trust between schools and families and unreasonably infringes on the precious fundamental rights of parents in guiding their children's development," the complaint states. Our school board addressed this by genuinely attempting to find a middle ground between the state mandate and the fundamental role of parents. We did so with slight modifications to the state mandated policy that shouldn't offend any reasonable person. Nevertheless, OSPI has taken a position that our slight modifications offend the law, as OSPI has interpreted, and seems to have triggered the state superintendent, Chris Reichel, and OSPI. Thing is, man, you can't come to a middle ground with these deranged people. You cannot come to a middle ground. You can't negotiate this. I mean, these people, man, they're not going to give you an inch. So don't even try to negotiate with these people. I mean, it's pretty simple. Males shouldn't be in female sports. Look here, it says Reichel stirred controversy earlier this year when she said it was inaccurate to say there are only two genders. Yeah, this is the kind of people we're actually dealing with, folks. People that aren't living in reality. This woman believes there aren't two genders. And I'm curious how many she actually believes actually exists. But this is what she said, quote, "It is quite simply inaccurate to say biologically that there are only boys and there are only girls," Reichel said. "There's a continuum. There's a science to this. There are children who are born intersex. There are children whose hormones and whose chromosomes are not consistent with their sex at birth. Our state laws make clear that children get to identify and participate on the gender in which they identify. We're going to uphold the law." Wow. Newsflash, guys. There are only two sexes, male and female. And then you have some genetic anomalies that can actually happen, which is extremely rare. Extremely. But we know, man, in the case of what's going on in female sports, these are actually 100% biological males that they're allowing to go over and play in women's sports. In the same video, Reichel said the Trump administration lacks the authority to ban trans athletes from girls' sports. Washington State has been the scene of multiple conflicts between a school board and the state's liberal government. On February 27th, the Tumwater School District voted 3-1 to defy the state and ban trans athletes from girls' sports. Well, good for them. Good for them. Yeah, Trump, his administration, they're going to have to investigate the state of Washington. Washington, remember, that was actually ground zero, folks, for the Chaz Chop Zone back during the George Floyd riots, guys. I mean, this is how radical that state is. Seattle, they allowed the thugs to take over a police precinct in the name of Marxism and Black Lives Matter. They didn't do anything until 2 people died in that Chaz Chop Zone, man. This is how Looney Tunes Washington State is, man. So we'll have to see what happens, man. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.